Welcome back to the SMT YouTube channel. In today's video, we do, I guess, a quick secondary analysis on the RootMetrics report that just came out for the first half of 2025. And this is probably the most scientifically collected, analyzed report that's available for network testing. And, you know, Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T get driven across all the major metros, top 120 some markets, I believe, and then states get driven, all the states, and then there's like different metrics that are awarded, like total scores. They do it by a range 0 to 100, and we've seen some markets that are pretty amazing. We've seen some interesting trends here for this half, so I want to go over that today, namely from the T-Mobile angle. So T-Mobile makes commercials discussing how they have the most towers. And we know that they have the most sub-gigahertz 3 gigahertz spectrum, right? So the frequencies that travel the furthest, the frequencies that have the best indoor penetration, and T-Mobile has best network claims, fastest network claims. They always try to drive home the point of 5G advanced features and what makes their network unique and how everybody else is behind them by several years. But somehow, some way, it's hard to reconcile all of those things with the actual data from companies that pay RootMetrics. T-Mobile pays RootMetrics. So does AT&T. So does Verizon. They have to fund them to do the drive testing, the employees, right? So they obviously value this report and this testing. T-Mobile finished third in calling again. T-Mobile finished third in texting again. At this point, you wouldn't think that it would be so troublesome for them since they are so far ahead in 5G. Voice over NR, right? Voice over 5G. All these 5G advanced features, network slicing, on and on. But yet and still, T-Mobile had 0 outright state wins. Even after having the T-Mobile and Sprint merger, which was a national merger, allowed T-Mobile to enjoy a 5G network stimulus. And then even if you look at it from a shared perspective, I think they had 2 shared state wins. And then nationally, they did win some metros, which is good, whether shared or outright, but it's only a small percentage or a small fraction. And we've noted the improvements, so it's not like we haven't acknowledged that. But it leads us to question so many things, like nationally, why are they third in reliability out of 3? Why are they second in network speed with all of that spectrum? From the Sprint merger to continued acquisition of the 2.5 gigahertz white space licenses, and now they're going to have the US Cellular piece, which I'm going to get to in a second, but they're third in data performance out of 3. They're third in video performance out of 3. Network responsiveness is a new category in which they finished, I think, second, which helps them, but they still finished third on the national and most of the state testing. So nothing has really changed on this report. AT&T still wins. Verizon, very dominant metros, but nothing's really changing. So I think about like the US Cellular acquisition. This should help the state national testing somewhat, I think. Obviously, this will help the tower spacing out in those rural parts, some of those less populated parts. It'll help their tower density and those things. But still, they don't win many metros. It's only a small fraction of the metros where their network is the densest, where they have tower sites on every single rooftop site. So I say all of that to say this. You can advertise and market yourself as the best network, but the most scientific testing methodologies aren't able to prove it. You have all of the assets that is required to be the best, and it's been several years since you've had this, but you still aren't producing state-level results. You're still behind. You're still finishing third of 3 in so many things. And the reason why I'm making this video is because marketing and reality seem to be 2 different things. And a lot is made about, you know, the Verizon network being the biggest and most available, or AT&T's network being the biggest and most available. And maybe that plays into this. But it's really hard to overlook that still to this day, through all of these years and through all of these stimulus packages that T-Mobile has received, we're still seeing the same weaknesses. They have not addressed the same things that have plagued them. And we have not seen the things that they market as advantages play out in the actual nationally collected data. My position is not to shit on T-Mobile. My position is to state simply that when you say certain things and when you do certain things, those things need to be backed up, and they simply do not when it comes to the RootMetrics testing, which is data that is collected scientifically for all of the networks. They're all tested the same way with the same devices, the same days, at the same time. And it's national data. It's all states being driven. It's all states being tested. It's many routes being driven. It's all of those things. And at some point, I think the standard for T-Mobile has to change. We can't keep saying, oh, well, they're better than 10 years ago. Oh, they used to be awful. Well, they're not advertising that they're still awful, are they? You see what I'm saying? And a lot is made about AT&T's weaknesses and Verizon's weaknesses, but here they are, the better two of the three. At some point, somebody is going to have to reconcile this and answer to these questions. Why can't they win the scientifically tested reports? Why? Go ahead and drop me some comments. Like, share, subscribe, check out some more videos. We'll see you guys soon on the next one.